What's up, gangsters? It is a bright and sunny morning out here at Rube Goldberg Enterprises. This is going to be a little bit of a different kind of video for a couple of reasons. The first reason is that this video is all about somebody else. And the second reason is because I'm going to do something that I don't think I've done in like 188 episodes of doing this thing, which is respond directly to somebody else on YouTube. That's just something that I normally never do, don't even really think about doing, partly because it's just not that important and partly because I just don't want to get involved in a bunch of drama. But sometimes things happen, and this is one of those cases. So, this video is about Hobby World USA and my friend, the owner, Matt Bull. Now, I'm sure you guys have heard me mention Hobby World USA at various times in some of my videos if you've watched any of my nonsense. But just in case you haven't and don't know who they are, hobbyworld-usa.com. Sorry, I should be more clear. hobbyworld-usa.com. is my favorite online source of model making stuffs. And the owner is Matt Bull. And he's been at it for about 3 years now. And he and I got acquainted initially at about the same time that Scale Modelers Critique Group was getting fired up. And he started advertising and asked if he could come in and talk about his store, and he was super respectful about it, and we were like, absolutely, you're totally legit, so come on and do that. And then I got to talking to him offline because my thing that frustrates me a lot with online hobby shopping is having to go to so many different places for stuff. It just annoys me. And then the other thing is not taking PayPal. I mean, look, I'm sorry, if you don't take PayPal, you're not getting my money. But as to the first concern, I emailed Matt one day and I was like, look, listen, here's my thing. I want to be able to buy all my stuff in one place, and I don't mind paying extra to be able to do that. And I will pretty much guarantee you that I'll spend all my money at your place if there's any way you can help me. And he did, way more than I expected. I mean, basically I would email him a list of stuff that I needed, and he would get back to me pretty quickly, and then I'd place my order. And so over that period of time, not only has he been we've become friends. We communicate offline some, and he's just a super good guy. And he's, when I think about what good customer service it really means, and as how to put that into action, Matt Bull is one of those guys. And he has also been a great friend to Scale Modelers Critique Group. He sponsored the one build competition that we did very generously. He's thrown some exceptionally good deals at members of the Scale Modelers Critique Group. And he's an active participant. I mean, if all you have to do if you want to find out if he's got something in stock and you don't feel like emailing him or messaging him on Facebook, just tag him in a post on Scale Modelers Critique Group, and literally within minutes, usually, he will be there with an answer. So he's just been a fantastic supporter. So, we were kind of talking about business the other morning, just the model hobby business, and it got me thinking about, market share. And so I just did a very quick poll on SMCG to kind of see what market share looked like. And it was pretty off the cuff, as most things that I do like that are. And so then Matt McDougall, who is an actual marketing professional, came along, designed a much better poll, and he put his up on SurveyMonkey. And what was interesting to me is that the basic results and the conclusion as far as market share goes of each poll pretty much came out the same, and I was pretty surprised. The number one finisher by quite a bit was local hobby shops. I was surprised that that many people are still shopping at brick and mortar. And then eBay and Amazon also had a huge chunk of it. And then right there in back of those three, kind of fighting for fourth place, were Sprue Brothers and hobbyworld-usa. But quite a ways back. Not in contention for a podium finish. So I was disappointed. I feel like as much support as Matt has given SMCG, that I'd like to see our members give him more support in return. But then I kind of asked myself, well, what have I really done other than casually mention his stuff to help try and make that happen? And so I decided, with the help of my compressor, that I would do a video and just kind of, because what I like to do on my channel is just talk about the stuff that I use and make recommendations and hope that it's useful for you guys. And this is no different. I mean, I view Hobby World USA as a resource. And in a way, I mean, it's not that much different from using it, from any kind of a tool that I like. Here's what I use, here's how it helps me, and here's why I like it. And so, if, maybe it'll help you guys too. So, this is kind of the same thing. Then, coincidentally, something else happened. And this is where it gets a little dramatic. I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with Phil Flory. Phil has a website and a forum and a channel that people pay, I think, like $4 a month to participate in. And so he has lots of YouTube videos. And I don't watch them all that often. I don't have anything against Phil. It's just his, I just don't usually tune in. But one day last week, there was literally nothing else on YouTube that I wanted to watch while I was drinking my morning coffee. And so I flipped over to see what Phil had to say about something. It was a kit review or something. I don't remember. Or maybe I put it on one of his live show things that he publishes after the fact. Anyway, I was literally just about to turn it off and go do something else when I heard a question from one of his forum members about MRP. And anytime something like that comes up, my ears immediately perk up because MRP is my favorite paint. So I'm just curious to see what other people have to say about it. And the comment from the viewer was that he was in the United States and was having problems getting MRP in the United States. And Phil's answer was that there was only one distributor of MRP in the United States, and they had quit doing it. And so that's why people could not get MRP in the United States. And he, I think, said some other things about that he had talked to him at the show, and that the problem was with them, with the distributor, etc., etc. I may not be getting all of that right, but that's the basic gist of what he had to say. And I immediately was like, what? That's not even close to right. First of all, there are no distributors of MRP in the United States. Never have been. And I'm using the exact technical term of a distributor, which means that it's the middleman between the manufacturer and the retailer. Like, for example, Bluefish, I think, is the name of the distributor for all of the Guns GSI Krios products. That's who Matt Bowl gets his Mr. Leveling thinner from. Stevens International, they're a distributor for a lot of kits. And that's where Matt gets a lot of his kits from that he sells. There is no equivalent entity for MRP. There have, however, been a couple of retailers of MRP. I say have been because one of them, which was Red Star, decided to stop selling MRP. He sold all of his stock to the other retailer of MRP paint, and guess who that is? You're way ahead of me. You guys are quick. Yeah, it's Hobby World USA. Matt has been the #1 retailer of MRP paint in the United States, and maybe anywhere, I don't know. He may be MRP's biggest customer for a long time. He kind of got started with it because some of us in SMCG, Matt McDougall in particular, had kind of found out about him and were kind of checking him out and decided that we really liked him. And it's just, kind of grown from there. I don't think Matt Bohl or Renee Molnar or Martin Schneider, who are the two guys who run MRP and who are also active participants in Scale Modeler's Critique Group, would disagree that a lot of their growth, at least in the United States, has come as a result of it being a thing in our group. So, at any rate, not true. There is currently only one retailer of MRP in the United States, and it is Hobby World USA, and he has absolutely not walked away from it. In fact, he orders every month, at least once a month, and we're talking like 2,000 to 3,000 bottles per order. Now, he is out of stock sometimes because of the demand being so high, he gets it as fast as he can. What has happened in the last few months is that, not the last few months, the last 1 month in particular, is that the MRP guys went on vacation, as a lot of people in Europe do in August. And so no orders getting shipped, and that's been a little bit of a problem for Matt. But that is certainly not an issue of Matt not taking care of things. Anyhow, this created an instant, I immediately posted about it in SMCG because, oops, technical difficulty there, as in running out of space on the card. Anyway, so as I was saying, I immediately posted this on SMCG because I wanted some clarification from Matt and from the MRP guys, and I thought, folks should know what the straight scoop was. And of course, this created some outrage. And I even commented on Phil's video page. I said, hey, MRP is available all day at Hobby World USA, son. And yeah, he got a little pissed off about that, I guess. But look, just to clarify, that's kind of the equivalent of, come on, man. Maybe it's a cultural thing. It's not a big deal. Anyway, here is how Phil responded on one of his members only videos that he publishes each week.
That way. Anyway, George says, I was watching your August 9th episode on Live at 5. And a question was asked about the ability of MRP in the USA. You claimed there was no source for it here, but we have a great source at Hobby World USA. They carry a whole MRP range and have an awesome customer support. I have no personal connection to them, but I recommend them highly. Try them out.
Give us the overhead camera.
If you want the US. Just give me a second. Okay.
Alright, go on, stick the overhead camera. That's my favourite meme ever. Right, okay, so.
Okay. It wasn't. Okay.
Right, this is exactly what's kicked off on the internet because I said there wasn't source. Again, this is one of those things where I think people see the shows and they don't know the backstory about what's happening and all the rest of it. When I said you can't get it, I said you can't get it because, and this is why I went actually on to Hobby World because somebody put up there calling me son, which is amazing. It's like, I'm not being funny, but the guy who said it is like the worst reviewer on YouTube ever. Because funny, the laughs we've had over him. Anyway, The thing is, it was like when we all then popped on and like picked 10 colours and they were out of stock of all of them.
Yeah.
And when you go through Hobby World USA's site, they are out of stock and got everything on back order.
Yeah.
That was what I meant by it, because, and also the thing is, when we were talking to said other company about this, they were saying, we've got the paint, we can ship it to them, but if they don't order it in, we can't do it. And the thing that has come to, obviously, what the guys have been saying, and this isn't just me saying it, this is feedback from you guys, because obviously I don't have a problem getting it, because I get it direct, or from Marcel at HM Hobbies. America, HM Hobbies. But the thing is, I get it all the time from members saying, how can I get MRP paint? So I spoke to MRP direct and said, my members are having real trouble getting it into America, and as they pointed out to me, it's not them. They can ship it literally within a couple of days of an order, but they are not ordering it. So they can't, it's not actually MRP, it's them that's the problem, and people like hobbyworld-usa obviously wait until they can get a certain amount of order in and then stock it. But that is it. They are not carrying clearly enough of the range, and that may be they don't sell enough at the end of the day. But I'm not having a go at these said suppliers like Hobbyworld and all the rest of it. I'm just simply saying, though, from a member's frustration, they can't get the stuff because it's not in stock.
But George has clearly had a really good experience with them, so well done,
Yes,
George.
but anyway, George is saying about there, carry on with the MOP range is awesome customer support and the rest of it. Again, absolutely, but we did do, because after we had a bit of a run-in with a few people on the said internet about theirs, as a bit of a thing, everyone picked 10 colours, everybody went to stockists, and none of them had any of them in stock.
No.
And it was just bread and butter colours. It wasn't anything particularly weirdo and wacky and stuff like that.
Funny,
And that was the whole point. And that is one of the frustrations. And I know it as well. And that is why I stopped having distributors for the sanders and the washes. Because I used to get it from people saying about, your stockist hasn't got. But then I can't make one of the stockists buy.
Yeah.
If they don't want to put the order in, that's it. And the trouble that you have as well is that from our point of view, from a business, we say that a minimum order is X, Y, and Z. So then what happens is that perhaps the said company, which, we used to have American stockists as well and all the rest of it. We used to have Sprue Brothers as our US distributor. But he's not going to put in an order if he runs out of one sander. Because he can't afford to.
Okay, so there you go. Now, look, before I go on, I want to make it clear that I have never had a personal issue with Phil Flory. Even though I am, as he said in his mind, the worst reviewer in the history of YouTube. And I'll just tell you that the reason why he said that is because in one of my videos last year, maybe, I don't even remember when it was, I was taking a look at some of his sanders that somebody had sent me. And I just commented that I wasn't really that impressed. And I wasn't, because I just found the grits to be way too coarse for my personal workflow. And I didn't like the fact that they weren't labeled with the grit number. I think he just has them called coarse, medium, and fine, or whatever. And what I really like is like these Infini sanders that have the grit written right on it, because I'm kind of a freak about that. I like to know what I'm picking up. And I just basically said that, and he called me an idiot. And now I guess he's decided I'm the worst reviewer in the history of YouTube. But whatever, you know what? I don't care about that. I officially give 0 fucks what Phil Flory thinks about me or what I do. But when something that Phil says has the possibility to directly affect the business of somebody, especially if it's one of my friends, then I'm obviously going to take notice of that. I mean, look, if somebody says something silly about paint chemistry, that's not a big deal. Nobody really cares that much. If you don't know the difference between an acrylic and a lacquer, not a big deal. That's a relatively minor penalty. But when you start affecting somebody's business with irresponsibly incorrect misinformation, that's a whole different thing. So let's just make it clear. Matt Bowl does not wait to order until he has enough interest in MRP. He is ordering constantly because he has constant demand. I would just say that this is one of those cases where maybe it's a good idea to follow the always timeless wisdom of Will Rogers. It's better to keep your mouth shut and appear stupid than open it and remove all doubt. I mean, look, if you don't know how somebody actually runs their business, it's probably not a good idea to be making commentary about that. At any rate, enough of that, because this whole thing is not about that little debacle. This thing is supposed to be about Matt and Hobby World USA. And so now that we've hopefully made certain that everybody understands that he is, in fact, the current and primary source of MRP in the United States, let's actually go take a look at the website. And let's test out for ourselves the idea that the paint is not available. Let's go see what's up. Okay, so here we are. I am signed in to hobbyworld-usa.com as a customer. And just real quickly on that, that's kind of a cool thing, because when you do that, you get a complete list of all of your order history and details, which is nice. Any kind of vouchers, alerts, whatever. I don't make use of most of this stuff, but it is kind of nice sometimes to be able to go and look at my order history if I want to check on something having been shipped, what exactly I ordered, whatever the case may be. So that's a pretty handy feature. But let's just say that you are here at the home page, not necessarily as a customer with an account. What do I have? I have a bottle of MRP in my shopping cart. Wonder what it is. Let's go take a look. Well, let's don't do that. I don't want to get sidetracked. As you can see, Matt has a bunch of different categories of stuff that he carries. He shows you his new arrivals right here on the front page, and you can see some pretty interesting things there already. He's got HGW detail stuff for aircraft guys. He sells a lot of Zero paint to the car modeling guys. I think he's probably the -- source for Zero here in the United States. I don't use the stuff, but I know lots of people do. Then he's got all of these different categories, which I think is pretty nicely split up. If we go, let's just do paint, because that's what this is really kind of all about. You can see that he has a bunch of different paint lines that he carries. He is one of the only places where you can get all of the Guns GSI Krios stuff, and that's really nice. Mr. Leveling Thinner, I mean, if you haven't started using that stuff, you're doing it wrong. And Matt is a good place to get that kind of stuff. Mission Model Paints, that's, an up-and-coming brand for the acrylic guys that's working pretty good. I use it. I like it. You can see he's got all that. Now, here's where we get down to, also, I want to make sure to mention UMP, because I'm friends with Paul and those guys, and Hobby World USA is a good source of that stuff in the United States. But let's just focus on MRP, because that's kind of what sort of started this debacle. Whoops. If there's one thing I don't like, it's the way these menus work, because you got to be hovering and you got to scroll and click on the right spot. But at any rate, let's just go to MRP as a complete category and see what we can see. All right, now 475 products. I think he has the stuff. Now I am thinking about building a Russian jet. So what colors might I need? Well, I might need this Russian turquoise green for the cockpit, and you can see right here, yep, it is back ordered. A bunch of stuff is back ordered. Blue metallic is in stock though, that's good. So this is not a good situation, obviously, because if you wanted stuff right now, then you would have a tough time. These more stuff in stock here, and I'm just going to kind of click through. I'm not going to look at all 475 items. But yeah, you can see there's a lot of stuff that's back ordered. Doesn't surprise me, because like I said, Matt is ordering every month at a minimum once per month, and sometimes still has difficulty keeping up with demand for that stuff. Like a lot of these grays that were out of stock, I'm not surprised because he also just got in a huge shipment of the new Tamiya F14D in 1/48 scale. So a lot of those grays and other Tomcat colors are going to be out of stock because people are hitting those when they order their kit. And just as a note about kits, Matt sells kits pretty much as a rule at 25% off of MSRP. And sometimes he loses money on that, especially when he has to ship them a long way. He was telling me some of the numbers involved in shipping, and I was just blown away. Like, he shipped one of those F14s to somebody on the West Coast, and it was like $40 in shipping. But as a rule, Matt charges the basic box rate that the USPS charges. So, like, it might be a $7.60 charge from USPS, but it might actually cost him twice that much in shipping. And he just eats that because on kits, what he wants to do is basically use that as kind of a way to get you on board and then be your number one stop for all of your supplies. And I think that's been a pretty good strategy for him. His growth over the last 3 years has been pretty phenomenal. But this brings up an important point. He does not typically stock a lot of kits unless he knows they are super popular and there's going to be demand. He basically orders them in real time from his distributors because he doesn't have the space right now to actually inventory all of those kits. And I also don't blame him. When I think about the challenges of handling model kits as a retailer, I don't know why anybody would want to do it. I mean, they take up a lot of space, they're expensive to ship, and you can very easily find yourself on the wrong side of demand and end up having a bunch of old stock that nobody wants. And how are you going to get rid of it? So personally, I don't blame Matt at all for his stance on ordering or stocking kits. But even he knows that he might get more business if he chose to do that. He just doesn't have the physical space to stash them right now. Most of what he's got is taken up with paints. Anyhow, again, going through here, you can see a lot of these are, in fact, out of stock right now. The good news is that hopefully that's going to be resolved here in a few days when the MRP guys get back from vacation. So if you are craving MRP and you need some right now, just be patient because he's going to get it. And especially if you're in the United States, there really is not a better way to do it. Yes, you can order direct from MRP, but it's a hassle because it's a flammable material, and there's issues with getting it. And Matt has basically done all of that for you by being the retailer. Anyway, so that's MRP. You've seen the paints. He carries a lot of painting tools. He's worked a lot with Badger. I don't see any of that stuff on here right now, but that's not really his major thing. You can see how it's all split up, though. Masks, he carries all the Edward masks. Montex masks, I've gotten a lot of those from him. Modeling tools, you can see he carries lots of that kind of stuff. He even has here a yard sale section for stuff that he's putting on clearance, so that's good. But really, the main thing that Matt is right now, and where I think that he wants people to know he can be a help to them, is with paint, because clearly that is his that's his number one segment here, and he's been super reliable for me with all that stuff. And as far as anything else goes, I can promise you that if you are looking for something that is not on the website, let's say you want a different wings kit, all you have to do is get in touch with Matt either through Facebook or directly here on the website, you can see that he's got good contact information. That all you have to do is shoot him an email, send him a message from here, or email him, or even call him. His information is right here. And I promise you, he's a super nice guy. He will pretty much bend over backwards to find out if he can get it for you, and if he can, he'll let you know how long it's going to take. So yeah, you might have to wait a couple of days, but I mean, honestly, in this game, should that really be a huge issue? I personally don't think so. I also like this section right here, where you can see every manufacturer that he carries, and so you can get a pretty good idea of how to find whatever you are looking for. All this is arranged in alphabetical order, so it's pretty easy to go in here and find the folks that you're looking for, like Infinity, for example, and the sanders that I was talking about. Let's say that you wanted some of those. Let's find those real quickly. Let's do a search. Let's do Infinity sanders. There you go. And you can see what pops up there. Infinity sanding sponge ultra fine. Let's just go click on that. I think this slowness is more about my internet connection than anything else. But anyway, you can see his search function works pretty good, and you can get a pretty good idea of what's available for that product. All right, so there it is. There you go. Bit long-winded as usual with my stuff, but I just try to make sure that all the facts are in place. I wish it had turned out a little bit better as far as the looking at the availability of MRP, but it is what it is. There are no fluff pieces here, and at least you guys hopefully can understand what the exact situation is. I feel pretty sure that if you are tuned into Scale Modelers Critique Group, that as soon as the orders are placed and the boxes arrive, that Matt will let everybody know when all that MRP is available again. And hopefully that won't be too long. So at any rate, I hope this gives you a pretty good overview of what Hobby World USA is all about, and that you will see fit to reward Matt's hard work with a few of your dollars at some point. I want to finish off by making it 100% clear that I get nothing in return from this other than hopefully Matt's gratitude. Hopefully. He doesn't even know I'm doing this. I didn't ask him first. Figure I'd ask for forgiveness rather than permission. But I don't get anything out of it. I have never asked for or received a single point of discount from Matt. Don't need it. Don't want to hassle him with it. I just consider him to be a good friend, and I think he's running a good business, and I just want to do what I can to support that. So I hope you guys will too. At any rate, I appreciate you watching. As always, much love.